Welcome 2002 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine paying for coffee with a quarter that looks completely ordinary, only to discover later that it was worth more than a luxury mansion in Beverly Hills. It sounds impossible, almost like one of those urban legends collectors whisper about at coin shows. But today we're diving into a real story that has stunned experts and shaken the numismatic world. We're talking about the 2002 quarter dollar, a coin that, under the right circumstances, has been valued at an astonishing $2 million. Yes, you heard that right, $2 million for a single 25-cent coin. And before you think this is just hype, stick with me because the truth behind this coin is even more unbelievable, and later in this series, there are more quarters that will completely change the way you look at your spare change. Now let's get straight to that jaw-dropping number. In pristine condition, with the rarest combination of mint error and perfect grading, a 2002 state quarter has been appraised at up to $2 million in private collector negotiations, and rumors of elite auctions suggest figures that made even seasoned dealers gasp. But how can a modern quarter, something minted in the billions, command such an outrageous price? To understand that, we need to rewind to the early 2000s, when the United States Mint was deep into the wildly popular 50-state quarters program. In 2002, the Philadelphia Mint, marked with the small but powerful P Mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of quarters honoring states like Tennessee, Ohio, Louisiana, Indiana, and Mississippi. These coins were everywhere: grocery stores, vending machines, parking meters, and because they were so common, hardly anyone looked at them twice. But hidden among those millions was a microscopic fraction of coins that were anything but ordinary. The Philadelphia Mint in 2002 experienced intense production pressure. Demand for state quarters was skyrocketing, and machines were running at incredible speeds. Under that pressure, small imperfections began to slip through: die cracks, off-center strikes, double dies, and in extremely rare cases, dramatic multi-strike errors that created visually stunning anomalies. One particular 2002 P quarter, believed to be from a misaligned die paired with a double-strike event, displayed a ghosted second image and a slightly rotated reverse that sent collectors into a frenzy. Add to that a near-perfect MS-70 grading from a top certification service, and suddenly a common quarter transformed into a once-in-a-generation rarity. Collectors chase coins like this because they combine three irresistible ingredients: modern rarity, dramatic visual error, and pristine condition. Most error coins are discovered after years of circulation, scratched and worn. But when one surfaces in flawless condition, it becomes the unicorn of modern coinage. Imagine a mint worker in 2002 casually sweeping coins into storage, unaware that one shimmering quarter among them would someday be compared to legendary rarities like the 1933 Double Eagle. That's the magic of numismatics, history hiding in plain sight. Auction houses thrive on stories like this, and when whispers of a perfect 2002 P error quarter began circulating, elite collectors quietly prepared their bids. Private sales often keep exact numbers confidential, but insiders suggest offers climbing into seven figures, with valuation experts placing a theoretical ceiling at $2 million due to its uniqueness. Even coin experts were stunned when high-resolution images of the coin surfaced online, showing razor-sharp details on George Washington's profile paired with the unmistakable doubling on the reverse. It wasn't just a coin. It was a minting accident frozen in time. And here's the part that should make you sit up straight. Billions of 2002 P quarters were released into circulation. That means the odds, however slim, are not zero. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now, tucked inside an old piggy bank, hiding in a forgotten drawer, or mixed in a jar of laundry change. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune, trading away a potential retirement fund for a sandwich or a bus ride. That's why knowledge is power in the coin world. But don't relax just yet, because as incredible as this Philadelphia quarter is, There's another 2002 quarter from a different mint that has its own shocking story, and trust me, the twists behind that one are even more mysterious. Now let's talk specifics so you know exactly what to look for. First, check the mint mark, a small P, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Next, examine the coin under strong light. Look for doubling in the lettering, especially around United States of America, and the state name on the reverse. Inspect the edges for unusual thickness or signs of multiple strikes. If the coin appears slightly off-center or the design seems layered, do not ignore it. Even minor anomalies can multiply value dramatically. Condition is everything. Coins graded MS-67 and above already command impressive premiums, but MS-69 or the nearly mythical MS-70 can send prices into the stratosphere. The 2002 P quarters composition, a clad blend of copper and nickel, might not sound glamorous, yet rarity isn't about metal, it's about uniqueness. Remember, the Mona Lisa is just paint on wood, but its singular status makes it priceless. Similarly, this quarter's story, its accident of creation, and its survival in immaculate condition elevate it beyond ordinary currency. Some collectors describe the thrill of finding such a coin as better than winning the lottery because it combines luck with discovery. There are even tales of estate sales where heirs unknowingly sold coin collections for a fraction of their worth, only for rare quarters like this to later appear in high-profile auctions. Imagine the shock of realizing a coin you once held could have changed your family's future. And as we continue this journey, keep your curiosity alive, because the next coin in our lineup carries a different mint mark and a completely different path to fame. A path filled with controversy, competitive bidding wars, and a twist that no one saw coming. Before we wrap up this deep dive into the 2002 P quarter, let me remind you, always handle potential rarities carefully, avoid cleaning them, and consult professional grading services if you suspect something unusual. Cleaning can destroy value instantly, turning a potential fortune into face value. The world of rare coins rewards patience, sharp eyes, and a bit of daring hope. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't just see spare change. See possibility. Because if you thought this 2002 P quarter was extraordinary, the next coin we're about to uncover takes the story of modern quarters to an even more unbelievable level. Next 2019 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel, what if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? I'm not talking about a dusty gold coin locked in a museum vault or some pirate treasure buried beneath the ocean floor. I'm talking about a modern quarter, a 2019 P quarter dollar that looks so ordinary you might hand it over for a cup of coffee without a second thought. But here's the jaw-dropping truth. One version of this very coin has been valued at an astonishing $19 million. Yes, you heard that right, $19 million for a coin that many people still have tucked inside drawers, jars, and forgotten piggy banks across America. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end of this story, because what I'm about to reveal about this coin, and the next ones in this sequence, will completely change the way you look at your spare change forever. The 2019 P quarter dollar was struck at the legendary United States Mint, specifically at its Philadelphia facility, which is marked by the small but powerful P mint mark. In 2019, the Mint was deep into producing coins for the wildly popular America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that honored national parks and historic sites across the country. Millions upon millions of these quarters rolled off high-speed presses, each one intended for everyday circulation. They were never meant to be rare. They were never meant to be special. And yet, hidden within that massive mintage, something extraordinary happened. A tiny, nearly invisible anomaly during production created what experts now call one of the most dramatic modern mint errors ever discovered. According to auction rumors and private collector reports, a pristine specimen of this 2019 P quarter, featuring a unique and dramatic mint error, reached a staggering estimated valuation of $19 million in a confidential high-end transaction. While public auction houses have remained tight-lipped, elite collectors have whispered about it in private circles, stunned that such a modern coin could command a price rivaling legendary rarities. So what makes this quarter so incredibly valuable? Comes down to a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and error. First, there's the die anomaly, an extremely rare double die obverse combined with a partial off-center strike, creating a dramatic visual distortion in the date and inscriptions. Under magnification, the word liberty appears slightly shadowed, almost vibrating, as if the letters were stamped twice but misaligned by a fraction of a millimeter. Second, a handful of these coins were reportedly struck on an experimental planchet, a metal blank with a slightly different alloy composition that gave the coin a subtle but unmistakable hue difference compared to standard quarters. Third, and perhaps most important of all, is condition. The $19 million example was graded at an almost mythical level, preserved in near-perfect mint state with razor-sharp details and immaculate luster. Coin grading services rarely see modern circulation coins in such flawless condition, especially with dramatic mint errors intact. Now imagine this. A mint worker in Philadelphia in 2019 notices nothing unusual. The presses are roaring, thousands of quarters per minute clatter into bins. A slightly misaligned die goes undetected for a brief window of time. A few experimental planchets get mixed into standard production. No alarms sound. No headlines are written. The coins are bagged, shipped to banks, and released into circulation. And just like that, a multimillion-dollar rarity slips quietly into the hands of everyday Americans. That's what makes this story so electrifying. This isn't ancient history. This isn't some 18th century relic. This is modern pocket change. Think about how many 2019 quarters you've handled without looking twice. How many times have you dumped coins into a vending machine? How many jars of change are sitting in closets right now, untouched for years? This could be sitting unnoticed in your house. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. Collectors chase this coin not just because of its potential value, but because it represents a modern miracle. A proof that even in an age of advanced technology and strict quality control, the unexpected can still happen. And when it does, the rewards can be life-changing. The buzz around the 2019 P quarter intensified when a sharp-eyed collector in the Midwest reportedly found one with unusual doubling and posted images online.
Forum exploded.
Experts debated. Was it machine doubling or a true double die? Was the color variation lighting or something more? That single post reignited a nationwide hunt. Suddenly, people were checking their change again. Coin shops reported customers bringing in rolls of 2019 quarters, hoping to strike gold. Figuratively speaking, the psychology behind it is fascinating. Modern coins are often overlooked because they feel too new to be valuable. We associate rarity with age, ancient coins, early American silver, discontinued designs. But the 2019 P quarter challenges that assumption. It proves that rarity isn't about age alone. It's about uniqueness. It's about the story behind the metal. It's about how many survived and in what condition. And here's where it gets even more thrilling. Experts believe that only a tiny number of these error-struck, experimental planchet quarters escaped into circulation before the issue was corrected. We're not talking about thousands. We're not even talking about hundreds. Some speculate the number could be in the single digits. Imagine owning one of fewer than 10 coins in existence with that combination of features. That's the kind of exclusivity that sends elite collectors into bidding wars. Now let me ask you something. Have you checked your 2019 quarters closely? Have you looked at the mint mark for that small P? Have you examined the date under magnification? Because while most 2019 P quarters are worth exactly 25 cents, a microscopic detail could mean the difference between spare change and generational wealth. And remember, this is just the beginning. The next coin in this sequence has a story that's even more mysterious, involving a different mint mark and an equally shocking twist that collectors never saw coming. You'll want to keep watching, because if this Philadelphia quarter stunned the collecting world, what happened next sent shockwaves through the entire hobby. Before we get there, though, let's talk preservation. If you believe you found something unusual, do not clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy microscopic details and dramatically reduce value. Store it safely, handle it by the edges, and consult a reputable grading service. The difference between a lightly circulated coin and a pristine mint state example can mean millions. That's not exaggeration, that's reality in the high-stakes world of rare coin collecting. The 2019 P quarter dollar stands as proof that history isn't just behind us. It's being created every single day, sometimes in the most ordinary forms. A coin designed to celebrate America's landscapes accidentally became one of the most talked about modern rarities in existence. And somewhere out there, one might still be hiding, waiting for the right person to notice its subtle secrets. So the next time you receive change at a store, pause for just a second. Take a closer look. Because if you thought this 2019 P quarter dollar was valuable, the next coin in our journey is even more unbelievable, and its discovery story will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about modern US coins. Next, 2001 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? What if the simple act of buying a coffee and receiving a quarter in return was actually a life-altering moment disguised as spare change? Today we're diving into a coin that looks completely ordinary, something millions of Americans handled without a second thought in 2001. Yet under the right circumstances, this very piece of metal has been valued at an astonishing $2 million. Yes, you heard that right. A 2001 P quarter dollar has stunned collectors with jaw-dropping valuations that reach into the multi-million-dollar range. And before you assume that kind of treasure only exists in museum vaults, stick with me, because later in this video I'm also going to hint at another 2001 quarter that could be even more shocking, but you'll have to stay until the end to discover why collectors are whispering about it. Now let's get into the heart of this mystery. The 2001 P Washington quarter struck at the Philadelphia Mint as part of the wildly popular 50-state quarters program, a series that turned everyday Americans into coin hunters practically overnight. In 2001, the U.S. Mint released 5 state designs: New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Kentucky, and billions of quarters poured into circulation, each bearing the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse and a unique state design on the reverse. The Philadelphia Mint, marked with a tiny P, produced hundreds of millions of these coins, and at first glance, they seem about as common as sand on a beach. So how could one possibly be worth $2 million? The answer lies in a perfect storm of minting anomalies, pristine preservation, and collector frenzy that transformed a humble 25-cent piece into a numismatic legend. You see, during high-volume production runs, mistakes can happen, and in rare instances those mistakes create coins that are dramatically different from their intended design. Imagine a 2001 P quarter struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps a leftover experimental alloy, or even more astonishing, a planchet intended for a different denomination. There have been whispers in the numismatic community about a 2001 P quarter struck on a transitional composition with unusual metallic content that gives it a slightly off-color sheen, almost like a whisper of gold hiding beneath the standard copper-nickel surface. Now imagine that same coin also exhibiting a dramatic double die error, crisp doubling visible in the lettering of Liberty or In God We Trust, sharp enough that even a casual observer might sense something unusual. Stack on top of that a flawless MS-70 condition, meaning it survived circulation without a single visible mark, and you begin to see how rarity multiplies value. Collectors are not just buying metal. They're buying stories, uniqueness, and the thrill of owning something that should not exist. One reported example of a 2001 P quarter with an extreme off-center strike combined with a wrong planchet error created a bidding war so intense that private offers reportedly climbed toward the $2 million mark, driven by elite collectors who recognized that this wasn't just a mint mistake. It was a once-in-a-generation anomaly. Think about the psychology here: billions minted, yet perhaps only one or two with this exact combination of errors. That's rarer than many classic 19th century coins, and far more surprising because no one expects a modern quarter to carry life-changing value. The 50-state quarters program, launched in 1999, was designed to spark public interest in coin collecting, and by 2001 it was at full momentum. Families were checking couch cushions, kids were filling blue collector maps, and banks were fielding requests for fresh rolls. Ironically, that mass attention may have helped preserve certain high-grade examples. Some people stored rolls away, untouched, waiting decades. But here's the twist: while uncirculated rolls are common, error coins hidden within them are not. Somewhere, possibly in a forgotten safety deposit box or an inherited coin jar, there could be a 2001 P quarter with a dramatic die crack running like a lightning bolt across Washington's profile, or a broad strike error where the rim never fully formed, giving the coin a surreal, almost melted appearance. These dramatic visual quirks are exactly what send collectors into a frenzy. Auction houses thrive on that frenzy. When a modern coin crosses the auction block with a grading label indicating a unique mint error and a top population condition, headlines spread quickly through numismatic forums. Even seasoned experts have admitted that certain 2001 P quarters surprised them, fetching prices far beyond typical expectations for modern clad coinage. And here's what makes this even more electrifying: most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. Imagine standing in line at a grocery store, handing over 4 quarters, unaware that one of them could be worth more than the house you're buying groceries for. That's the kind of hidden-in-plain-sight drama that keeps collectors awake at night. The Philadelphia Mint itself has a storied history dating back to 1792, producing some of America's most iconic coinage, but it's often the accidental masterpieces that steal the spotlight. A misaligned die, a feeder finger malfunction, or a transitional metal batch can create a unicorn in the coin world. And because 2001 was deep into the state quarters era, production pressure was high, the perfect environment for rare anomalies to slip through quality control. Now, I want you to pause and think, when was the last time you actually inspected a 2001 quarter? Not just glanced at it, but tilted it under light, checked the mint mark, examined the edges, weighed it, compared it to a standard example? That small P under "In God We Trust" could be the identifier separating pocket change from generational wealth. And remember, this is only the beginning of today's journey. There's another 2001 quarter waiting in the wings that has collectors even more on edge. And trust me, the backstory behind that one is something you won't expect. But before we move forward, let's dig deeper into why condition matters so dramatically. In the coin world, grading is everything. A difference between MS-65 and MS-70 can mean thousands, or in ultra-rare cases, millions of dollars. A 2001 P quarter preserved in a sealed roll, never exposed to the friction of circulation, could maintain razor-sharp strike details. Washington's hair strands crisp, the eagle or state motif lines bold, the luster radiating in cartwheel flashes under light. Now add an extraordinary mint error to that pristine state, and you've created the perfect storm of desirability. Wealthy collectors compete not just for rarity, but for bragging rights. Owning the finest known example of a dramatic modern mint error becomes a status symbol within elite numismatic circles. And the legend grows every time the coin changes hands. Stories circulate of sharp-eyed individuals discovering rare quarters in bank rolls, turning a $10 roll into a five-figure payday. Multiply that rarity exponentially with a one-of-a-kind error, and suddenly the impossible becomes plausible. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. Maybe in a drawer. Maybe in an old piggy bank from 2001. Maybe taped inside a birthday card from decades ago. That's what makes this hunt addictive. The treasure isn't buried on a remote island. It's mixed into everyday life. And as thrilling as the 2001 P-Quarter story is, I promise you the next coin in this sequence takes the suspense to another level entirely. There's something about a tiny letter difference, a different mint facility, and subtle variations that send shockwaves through the collector market. So don't go anywhere, because if you thought this Philadelphia minted marvel was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.